This is Vinney Chopra, Vinney Smile Chopra. Thank you for following me on social channels, listening to my podcast, YouTube channel, all the different channels, and also liking the podcast. Please give us a 5-star review, subscribe to it, share the content. My blogs are there. Please watch them too and read them. Also, YouTube channel, all the different ones. My Vinney and Beau show on Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific every week, and also Abundance Mindset with Vinney and Walter Amarello on Thursday live. Please enjoy this show. Thanks again for everything. God bless you. Hi guys, Happy New Year to everybody. Happy 2025. It's going to be a fabulous year. This is Vinney Chopra and Brother Beau right there in Las Vegas. I'm over here in Danville, California, Blackhawk, and we have a great guest for you. You're going to love him. He's Bronson Hill, an icon in the real estate industry. We're going to talk about his new book, actually. It's called Rich Brain. He wrote the first book, Fire Yourself, and get your activities actually, or active income, change it into passive so that you can make lots and lots of positive cash flows from all the different things you do. Just to give you a little background, he has been raising so much money for the last, I just was looking at, Bronson, $42 million he raised in just a few years, and he's got beautiful Bronson equity, his company, and he's able to have a mastermind to really bring some very high net worth investors, which Brother Beau and I also. So we just hit the chord together, and we're going to really dig into his mindset of writing this great book, Rich Brain, and also talk about the Fire Yourself. Welcome, Bronson. How are you, brother?
I'm good. It's so good to see you, Vinney. It's always a pleasure, Beau. Great to see you as well. And I just love talking with you guys. I think I had you on my show recently, Vinney, and man, I just felt like I was, floating for the rest of the day. I just get this positive wave just kind of came over me. So I love how positive, encouraging, and just, you're declaring this is gonna be the best year of your life. And I'm just like, yes, I love it. Yes, it will be the best year of my life. So I'm excited to talk with you guys.
Thank you. It's so exciting to see like-minded people. It's so important. I think everybody watching us or listening to us, 2025, how can it be a better year than 24, 23, 22? It's all in the between the years. Just like Zig Ziglar said, stinking thinking, neck up. You got to really get that stinking thinking and reshape it and think about what you want to accomplish with goal setting. Don't put a lot of dreams. Dreams are dreams in the air. But once you put the timeline to it, it changes everything. So I hope we'll dig into all those concepts. So take it away, brother.
Of course. Awesome. Well, great to be with you guys. Again, my background, I started in medical device sales. I did that for 10 years, enjoyed it, was making over $200,000 per year. And I had some single family houses. I wanted to do real estate. I wanted to have financial freedom. And then what I realized, it was a lot of work, right? I just kept kind of getting houses, and it really didn't get me. And I have to get 30 or 40 houses, and I realized this was going to become another job for me. And so that's really what inspired me to look into going larger. And so somebody I knew said, why don't you consider raising money? And I was like, can you do that? Is that something that you can do? And so I started to learn about it. I had a sales background, which to raise money or raise capital really is a sales skill, right? It's networking with people and finding a way to raise money. And a lot of people ask me, how do you raise money? How do you do it? Well, the first way I did is I started a meetup locally, and I found my first investor there. And there's a difference between being an expert and being just somebody at the front of the room as a leader, right? So I was a leader who didn't know anything, but I was asking questions and I was leading the room. And so some guy invested $100,000 with me, and that's what got me started. And that's the hardest part, I think, of raising capital, is just kind of getting started. And so that led me to just, do different deals in multifamily. We've also done deals in businesses. We're buying a business right now, a larger business that's high cash flow. Done some car washes and oil and gas and other types of projects. And one of my passions really, Vinney, is, like you said, is really in the education side. So my book, Fire Yourself, Replace Your Working Income with Passive Income in 3 years or Less, became an Amazon bestseller, which I'm really grateful for that. It's been just awesome to connect with folks all over the world, just learning about what does it look like to grow your wealth without taking up more of your time. And it really comes from that quote from Warren Buffett, which says, unless you learn how to make money while you sleep, you'll work until you die. And a lot of people say, oh, I have passive income, I own 10 rentals, or I do this, or I have an online business. And it's like, well, if it takes up more of your time, it's not really passive, right? So for a lot of people that are interested in growing wealth, really everybody says financial freedom, they want financial freedom, but really what financial freedom to me is time freedom, right? Time to travel. Last year I was able to travel 6 times internationally. I was able to work on my second book, and it's just amazing what opens up when you're able to have time to pursue your passions and what you feel like you're here on this earth to do.
You are so right about it, brother. And lots of people want, but they just dream about it, but they don't take action. So what actions did you take? Kind of share with us some nuggets for somebody who want to get more time and more freedom, and then also to be able to, spend time and build relationships with their family, with their loved ones, all that.
Yeah, well, there's a saying, a lot of this, and I know you guys are both personal development guys as well, but a lot of times we say we want this external thing, we want to have it, but it really involves us changing and becoming a different person, right? So being wealthy is not just something you have, it's something that you become. And so if you look at what wealthy people do, there's this quote by Jim Rohn who says you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So if you're around people and they're negative and they're not wealthy and they're not really working on themselves, and maybe they have poor health habits, things like that, you're probably going to be very similar in that way. But if you're in rooms where you have people that are 10x your net worth in that room, and they're in business and they're doing different types of things and they're learning and there's growth and their fitness, they're in their best shape of their life, it's just going to rub off on you. It's hard to be around people like that, not have it affect you in some way. And so I know all 3 of us are big into getting in the right rooms, getting into masterminds. We'll even pay to be in the right rooms. I actually started my own mastermind. It's called the Wealth Forum. So I've got my Wealth Forum shirt on here, and you're going to be at one of our events coming up in Scottsdale, which we're going to have some amazing guests there. But it's basically, that's really what I did is I found I'd raised my first $100,000, and then I just said, wow, how do I get in rooms where there's just amazing things happen? So for me, the next room was a cruise. Actually, it was an investor cruise, which sounds kind of a funny thing, but at the time it was very expensive for me. And so, but I decided to go. And then while I was there, somebody said, it's like that quote also from Jim Rohn, who said, make yourself valuable to valuable people. And I don't know if you're like me, a lot of people come up to me or to you and then we'll say, hey, I want you to mentor me. I want you to help me. I want you to do this, whatever. And it's fine. We do that and we provide ways to help people, but it's really powerful when someone comes up and says, Vinney, I've looked at your business and it seems like you're going this direction. Maybe I can help you get where you want to go, right? And because you've done 8,000 units, you're a high net worth guy, whatever, if I can provide value to you, there may be an opportunity to work together and it may open up these great doors. So I did that with somebody I really respected in the community, in the multifamily community. They'd done a bunch of stuff, and I found a way to create some value in raising money with them. And I went from raising $100,000 to raising 15 million over the next 18 months. And that was just through having calls while I was still doing my full-time job, right? It was a little bit of a hustle, but I think that there's a couple principles there. One is just being in the right rooms, and while you're there, thinking about how you can add value to other people, right? Because the more successful someone is, the more you should approach it from a giving first standpoint, right? Where you're not actually, hey, what can I get from this person? Is there any way that I can help this person get where they want to go? And it always comes back to you in the end.
I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Brother Zig Ziglar, right? What a great motivator he was. I got the chance to meet him twice. And on the stage, by the way, he was, I think, 61 or 67, maybe even. And he had more energy than all the guys who were 32 and 34 and 30. I still have that picture in my mind. I just can't get rid of it. He was going from one side of the stage to the next side, and then he brought his hand pump, remember? Oh my gosh, he would travel. Oh my gosh, it just so much gets me excited about it. That when I'm 82, I'm 73, I'll be 73 this year. I am setting my mind for the next 10 years so that I could be like Zig Ziglar. But he talks about if you help enough people get what they want, you'll get what you want.
Absolutely.
And that's the really golden rule of life. What can you give? Give. And just don't expect anything. When you don't expect, it comes in many folds back to you.
Yeah, 100%. No, it really is. It's counterintuitive. I think there's this idea that, if I don't, advocate for myself, I don't do what I want, then I'm not going to have, and all these people are moving ahead of me and whatever. You can feel it's really that scarcity mindset.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. But again, the most powerful people I find are very generous. They really look at not necessarily even just building wealth, it's building networks and really opening up doors for other people. And it's just amazing to be able to have friends. Like if I have an issue and I'm looking at, doing something in senior housing development, I'll be like, I'm going to call Vinney. I'll be, hey, Vinney, I had a question here. What do you think? Whatever. And so I can connect, or if there's anything about mindset, I got you. I can say, or if I'm discouraged, I can call you up and you'll help me out. So I think, and Beau, when it comes to businesses and franchises, like you're the guy. So it's like being able to, connect and really find people in your network that can help you. There's another saying that says, how you grow your net worth is how you grow your network, right? So, or how you treat your network is how you grow your net worth. So it's kind of that idea of like, if I can serve the people around me. But the challenge is, again, it does depend. You have to be targeted with it. You can't just, you can serve everybody. You can serve everybody every place. But if you serve people that have resources, there's opportunity to work together. There's opportunity to really to help. And so I think there's a lot of advantages to being somebody who's, maybe it's a couple levels ahead of you and you're in those rooms and you're just finding a way to serve. And I think one thing I'd love to mention is imposter syndrome, right? Something will happen or a setback happens, or you think, oh my gosh, I'm not the net worth or the skills or the background of all these people. Well, it's great to be the person in the room. They say if you're the smartest person in the room, then you should find a new room, right? If you're the wealthiest person, maybe it's time to find a new room, right? So I think it's being in those rooms where people are dealing with different things, and it's just amazing what opens up when you do that.
Yeah, I stopped comparing myself. I found myself, I was comparing myself a lot. And I always talked to my business coach about that. And it's like, I don't compare myself to anybody anymore. And it's like the best thing, because we look around on social media and everybody's, doing this or that. And like, but then all of a sudden, the people that don't build their foundations, they end up failing. And so like, I never judge. Like, I remember watching this one guy and he was doing all these deals, and like, I'm like, man, at that age in his 30s, how is he that successful? Right. And like, come to find out he's getting indicted right now. Right. And so you never can really like, you never should compare yourself to others. And like, I used to have the same thing where I'd like get in, but then I realized like I have a lot more value than most of these people, just because they maybe hit the hockey stick sooner than I did doesn't mean they're any better or more skillful than I am. And then I realized I actually have more skills than most people I'm interacting with, and I can add value to any conversation. So then I stopped comparing myself and just realizing like, yeah, I'm actually pretty confident because I built a foundation and I have the skills that most people would want to have, these skills that I have. And it's because I keep on learning. I keep on getting, like you were saying, getting into the rooms, investing back into myself, going to events. Like your network is really your ecosystem that's going to create your wealth, right? And so it's like having the right connections and having this ecosystem and sharing. And then I came up with a mission statement, which I never had a mission statement. And my mission statement at first was I was going to help 10,000 aspiring entrepreneurs become successful business owners. Then I scratched it out. It's now 100,000 because of my YouTube channel, my podcast. 100,000 doesn't mean I'm going to work one-on-one with these people, but I'm going to have input or some kind of value ingrained in them through my podcast, through my YouTube, through speaking on stages. And so I'm going to cross that out and say 1 million people, right? Because with social media and writing books. I'm writing my first book as well. And I think it's your calling to help. The more people you help, it's just that reciprocity thing. Reciprocity, Dr. Robert Cialdini, reciprocity. It's very true. And so like, I love what you're doing, because I feel like, in a way it's similar to what I'm doing and what Vinney does. And I think people with that right mindset, that's how you grow. And like you probably would have never thought, like Vinney, when he came to America with like very little money, would have never thought, hey, I'm going to be wealthy. I'm going to be, be able to do what I want, travel where I want. And it's just because that, he's wired that way. That's why he's so excited all the time. So I think we have to get a little of that drive. Like you have to have that drive. And I hope more people out there get that drive, because I think once you catch it, it's like, you're just ready and you're like, you never stop growing. And that's what's exciting about this world we live in.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's amazing that a lot of the stuff I was actually been surprised. We started our mastermind about 6 months ago, and it's high net worth people that have come to, look for deal flow and network with other investors. But a lot of it's been mindset. A lot of people have been really interested in like, how do you grow your mindset? So I share, here's the goals I just made my new goals and laminated a sheet with a vision board and everything for next year. And it's like, I do that. I read them every single day. I read my mission statement every single day. And so a lot of people don't see the connection, but some of these things, I want to share a story that led me to my book, Rich Brain. But basically I was on an Uber in Dallas, and this woman, I had a call where an investor was investing money. And so they were going to wire $100,000. So I had this call and verifying the information. And so, that's probably not a normal call you hear when you're driving an Uber, right? Most people are like, hey, pick up the groceries or whatever. But so you hear this, say, overhears this call. And she says, after I was off the call, she said, I'm sorry, I overheard your conversation. How do I learn about money and making money? And she was probably like early 30s. And I thought about it. I didn't really have any good resource to give her. I mean, there's books I could say, there's this and that, but a lot of times it really does come down to, there's a few things when it comes to mindset and then specific actions. And if you don't get the mindset right, whatever actions you do, you're not going to get the wealth, right? You're going to find some way to self-sabotage and whatever else. And so one of the things that came up with me with over 2,500 interviews I've had with high net worth individuals, average net worth of 2 million or more, is basically a lot of people, they will, a common belief, and this is what's interesting, is that most people believe that people are either born with money or they're not born with money, right? That it's either a silver spoon in your mouth, you either have or you don't. But Fidelity Investments did a study, and they found that 86% of millionaires are self-made. So that means that they did not inherit it. They did not do it. They actually found a way. Almost 9 out of 10, 90% almost did it on their own. And so to me, it's really, again, it's very counter the narrative. It's like, oh, you either have it or you don't. But it's actually really more the norm. People actually figured out and they learned how to become wealthy, like probably all of us. I came from a very middle class family, and both my parents are teachers. I have single parent, 4 kids. It was a situation that was very middle class, right? And so, and Vinney with his $7 in his pocket. So what I've realized is that these are very learnable mindsets and principles that people can have. And one of the biggest things I found is there's this thing that I discovered, and I call it wealth worthiness. And what I mean by that is that it's very similar to other forms of worthiness. Like, let's say and I think I shared, I don't know if I share this on the show with you, Vinney, but if if I'm a single guy and I walk go to a party, there's a beautiful woman over there, and I've had this self-talk that said, oh, I'm not, that good looking. She's not going to like me anyway, whatever. And so how's that conversation going to go? If I do work up the nerve to walk over and talk to that woman, it's probably not going to go very well. Versus if I have an inner, inside that, hey, I'm worthy of a good relationship. I'm worthy of, being in a relationship with a beautiful woman. It's going to go very different. And so the same approach is there when it comes to wealth, it comes to business, it comes to money. So if we start at this place, and a lot of times there's 2 ways people do it. Sometimes people, this is most commonly how people do it, is they'll kind of incrementally get steps along the way. So they'll start middle class, like at some sort of breakthrough. Oh, I'm worthy of this, whatever. And they'll kind of work their way up. So they're making $100,000. Then all of a sudden they're making 250, and then they get up to $1 million. And they kind of like work it up over time, or they have their business. But there's other people I've seen, and myself included, where it comes from the mindset piece of developing that worthiness and taking a very quick jump. I had a 20x net worth jump to go to 7 figures just in a 2-3 year period, right? That's not usual how people do it, but how you do that is you start developing that wealth worthiness. And there's specific ways to do that, but it was something, again, surprised me when I started to research and learn about this, but it's something that I think is very true.
I just can't emphasize. I had a chance to read Rich Brain. I mean, it is packed with so many ideas, so many nuggets. I mean, thank you so much, Bronson, talking about it, because many times people sabotage themselves,
Yeah.
their success. They sabotage it through their mind, stinking thinking, like I said, or negative thinking, not feeling worthy enough, or circumstances come on the way. Stresses and strains of daily living, paycheck to paycheck living. It really, really boils down to when we don't take time to improve ourselves, to improve our habits. It all boils down to habits. What we think, what we do, what we are talking, how we spend 24 hours in our life. Everybody's got the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yesterday, I go to the gym very early in the morning, and it stays cold here actually during the winter in Vegas. And I stopped to get a coffee, and then I was pulling out, and there was a bus station, and I see all these people. It's pitch dark out. It's freezing cold. Well, not freezing for Las Vegas, okay, but very cold. And I see these people running to the bus to catch the bus. And then I just thought about it, and I said, you know what? Like, here, these people are like, it's maybe 5 in the morning. and these people are running to catch a bus. And then I stopped and I thought, man, I never like that made me realize how lucky and fortunate I am,
Mm.
because I don't catch buses, right? I don't
Yeah.
worry about, because I have 3 cars, right? And it's like
Yeah.
I take that for granted. And then for that moment I stopped and I said, you know what? Like there's a lot of people out there that, if they don't learn these wealth strategies, they're going to be stuck in that life where they're having to take a bus because they can't afford a car.
Yeah.
And that's pretty
Yeah, it is.
sad. So it's our duty, not only to help the accredited, obviously, but I like what you're doing with the books, because you can put financial literacy into anybody's hands. And that's what's powerful, that anybody can make it. And I love hearing the stories of like people that started with nothing and now they own a business, and it's like the education's out there. You can go on YouTube and you can pretty much learn how to bootstrap a business for $2,000 out of pocket or less, right? Like you can start a business tomorrow. It's just like, how do you get these people to realize they can do it? And I like what you called it, wealth worthiness, or
wealth
Yeah.
worthiness.
yeah, I like that, because I think people need to learn wealth worthiness, because without them they don't even know it's there, right? And it's like, how do you just like educate the masses that look, like we want to help everybody improve their life? And like, I hope somebody's watching this when it gets edited and they go, wow, I watched this episode and it was so powerful and we changed people's lives, right? Like that's what I like to do now, is like, obviously I still have a long way where I want to go financially, but I have the education and the knowledge. I mean, I got somebody into a business for like $12,000 out of pocket, and I just like that kind of stuff. It's like,
Love it.
Anybody can do it, right? And so just plug yourself in. If you're watching this right now, you don't have to start. Maybe you'll never become a Vinney, right, and own all this stuff, but you don't need to, right? Maybe, I mean, even just buying 4 rental properties in your lifetime will change your life completely.
Yeah.
Just 4 rental properties. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi friends, this is Vinney Chopra from here in Danville, California. And you might be saying, hey Vinney, what are these over here? I wrote this book a few years back, Apartment Syndication Made Easy. It became top seller. I came from India with $7 in my pocket. It says 500 million. It's going to be 1 billion very soon, very soon. I'm right at about 850, 900 million. And then I'm ready for the next billion. Actually, you will see that happening, 2 billion in this book also. The other book I wrote, which has been a very big positivity, has been my life. Always, I've been married 43 years with 2 children, and the beauty is to be positive, the mindset that can take you to all the places in the world. And that's the book that also became big seller. My 3rd book, Senior Assisted Living, is coming. So do yourself a favor, go ahead and click the link below to get free copies, audio copies of these books, even printed copies of these books. Printed means digital if you can't afford it, but I would highly recommend for you to get these, or go to Amazon.com. Just go to Amazon. I got it in soft cover, in hardcover, in Kindle, in audio, also the Spanish version of this book also. So let's crush it, guys. I know you can be successful. I know you can do the kind of things that you want to do in life and have the streams of income and know how to really, educate yourself so that you could become a strong force in this world in real estate. I know you can. So take that step. Don't just be on the sideline. Take charge of your life. Take charge of your education.
I started with a duplex. I started with single family homes, just like Bronson, all over the place, and found out that they were not making the cash flow so that our kids could go to school, college. In Indian culture, we don't take loans. I also sold Bibles and encyclopedias, all that, 13 hours a day. I mean, I did 80 hours a week just so that I could earn money to not get a loan for George Washington. Same thing for Neil and Monica. But the biggest thing I would like to say is that, you got to take action. Yeah. Everybody watching us, 2025 is right here. If you are happy with what has been happening in your life and you're reaching your goals and you're at 2x or 4x or 5x your net worth, great. but you could go even 50x,
Yeah.
100x. But the key thing is have the right attitude, worthiness. Just like Brother Bronson is saying, you got to start with something. If it's a duplex or fourplex or 10plex, that's how I started in my business. Went to 8,000 units, with grace
Yeah.
of God. And the power of raising money, which
Yeah.
Bronson is specialist in, I mean, so I'm so fired up that, this year we want to raise $50 million for diversified assets and things like that. But let's talk about something very special. Where should one start, Bronson? Give one or two or three steps, brother. Somebody
Yeah.
who is
Yeah.
kind of in the run of the mill, they want to change their attitude. How
Yeah.
would you say worthiness comes?
Yeah. So I have actually a method that I've developed similar to other methods when it comes to this, but I think there's a few kind of nuance to this that I've kind of come up with. But really, I call it whisperings. This idea of affirmations, which you say in the mirror and you say to yourself, which can work. Those are effective as well. But there's this thing that we all talk to ourselves under our breath, right? We all have these things that we say to ourselves. And when
Yes.
I was a kid, I got a negative self-talk, like many of us. I'd say almost every single person that somebody said something like, "Oh, you're not good looking," or "Oh, you can never
Hmm.
do this," or "Oh, you're not,"
Hmm.
or you had an older sibling that said things, and we internalize those messages. And what happens is those tapes begin to play, and they play, and they play, and they play, and that's why
Yeah.
we show up to a situation and we just feel like, I can't go talk to that woman, or oh my gosh, I can't do this business, or I can't do whatever. But what if inside the tape was positive? And that's what you've
Mhm.
done and what Beau's done. That's what we've done, is to change the tapes. And so how you do that is you create specific phrases or things around, like, things that you want to create. So I'll give it a personal example. So unfortunately, I went through a divorce about 8 years ago. And for me, it was a big turning point in my life that I realized I wanted to change things about my life. And so I came out of that relationship and I just felt like no sense of self-confidence. I just felt like, man,
Mm.
who am I? Whatever. So what I did is I created some whisperings around confidence, right? And one of them I still actually I do read, and I meditate, and I share each morning to myself. It's, I, Bronson, own the room with the confidence and the authority of a king, right? So when I walk in a room, that wells up on the inside. And there's a big difference between knowing something in your head. And I have a men's group I do on Tuesday, and all these guys will say, "Oh yeah, I know this. I know it's true. I know God loves me. I know these things, whatever." It's a Christian group. But I don't feel it in my heart. I know it up here, but I don't know it here. Like, well, a lot of people, like, we know we're loved. We know we have family members. We know people love us, whatever. We don't maybe feel it in our heart. Or we don't feel like we can do great things. And so how do we create that? Is that we have to meditate on it. We have to think about it. We've got to talk about it. We've got to read it. And it's a daily, day in, even multiple times per day thing, so that over time, it didn't happen right away for me. But after
Mhm.
6 to 12 months, I started to really feel that sense of confidence. I started to feel that sense of worthiness. And so I just kept doing these. And it's been now 8 years I've been doing this or more. And it's just
Wow.
like, again, when you can create from what you say, your words have creative power. So what you say to yourself, I think, is far more powerful than what anybody says to you, right? What you say about yourself and to yourself. And so it's creating these whisperings, just as I mentioned. And you can do it around wealth as well. You can do it around relationships. You can do it around just the way you're going to show up, or the things you learn, or income, or other things. And so as you create these things, what happens is, they say about 80 or 90% of our brain activity is subconscious, right? We're not even thinking about what we're thinking. It's below the surface. So what we're doing when we're doing this, we're actually programming and creating things in our subconscious. So when we show up, and this happened to me very recently, actually, I'll give an example of this. I've been creating this 10x idea of, like, okay, I want to really develop a higher level of income in my business. And then all of a sudden we had this opportunity with a partner, with a friend, to go buy this business we're going to buy. And it's going to about 5 to 10x the revenue in our business almost overnight. Right. So, but
Mhm.
how did that happen? It became because I created it first. I meditated, I thought about it, I kind of received it. And then when it showed up, it was like, just something triggered. It was like, oh, this is it. Right. And so that will happen. That will happen with relationships. That will happen with different things. But a lot of times you have to create it and see it and visualize it and really become that before you actually see it. So it sounds, if you're not used to this personal development world, it can sound a little woo woo. But of the 2,500 millionaires, most people had some sort of practice like this. So it's only weird if it doesn't work. But if it may be weird to somebody who's not, is like, I don't do that, or I'm not into that kind of stuff. But wealthy people, successful people, the more successful of a person, the more likely they are to have this habit in their life.
So true. So true. You just watched it and heard it right here on Vinny and Beau show. We come to you every Friday, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 noon. It's so exciting to have Bronson. Bronson, you're amazing, brother, amazing soul.
Right.
And the key thing is, you know what? We do need to really get our mind right. Feel worthy, self esteem, self worth is
Yeah.
so important. What we are inside, if we are not fulfilled inside, how can we give outside?
Yeah.
How can we give to our teams? How can we really project ourselves?
Yeah.
So, the key thing is in 2025, I hope everybody watching us just take that time for yourself.
Yeah.
I would love to give you a hack. The key thing is lots of people want to be on your calendar. I bet they do. They on mine too.
Yeah.
But the best person you can really have an appointment with is yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So
100%.
please, 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 every day, write down 20 minutes, reoccur it in your calendar, put an alarm so that you are with yourself, talking to yourself, motivating yourself, and building that self worth.
Yeah.
And learn to say
I love it.
no. Learn to say no.
Learn to say no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was just
Yes.
before I got on today. I was like dealing. I got a text, and it's like it's a loan that I was helping on, and it's like I should have never said yes because
Ah.
I should have known better because it's just been a pain, right? Like,
Yeah.
and like
Oh.
I run my business that I look at pain factors, right? Like if it's going to be a pain factor, regardless if there's money on the other end of it, unless there's a lot of money, I'm not
Yeah.
going to suffer pain. And
Sure.
so like even getting text messages from, real estate brokers and stuff make me cringe because
Yeah.
it's like, it's not me that doesn't perform, and then, so it's like, if you know this stuff, you say no in advance. Just say, hey, that's not my focus. Okay. I'm not working on those types of deals or whatever. Or, right.
Yeah.
I
And
love
then-
that. Love
Yeah.
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
you
We
gotta,
have the
yeah.
you got to choose. You got to choose your battles and wars, and that's how it is so important. Like Brother
Yeah.
Bronson said in his mastermind, I just picked it up. I mean, I was saying accredited investors, they are only millionaires, 1 million net worth. He said 2 million to 10 million. So I'm going to up my ante right there, and let's get those people because those are the people who want to go places. So
Yeah.
no, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Exactly.
It's
No,
so
it's
wonderful.
these are all learnable principles. They're all things that are
Yeah.
it's been said that success leaves clues, right? So that's
Mhm.
Tony Robbins, and I think Jim Rohn as well said something similar. But it's so important. And to your point, Beau, as well, saying no is important because
Yeah.
I think Warren Buffett said this. He said the difference between successful people and highly successful people is that highly successful people say no to almost everything. So like,
Yeah.
the more
Yeah.
success you get, the more opportunities come, and you've got to
Yeah.
be willing to say no to things that are good things, but that
Yeah.
just aren't the best, right? Good is the enemy of great. And so I think really figuring out for you, and I think in
Mhm.
2025, I mean, that's why I'm a big goals person. It's like you're going to get the same results in life, or maybe even worse results, unless you create new things out ahead of you. And that's where, life has this quality where it just kind of continues on. You're going to get more of the same. And the only way to create is to actually have different goals, a different focus, a different mindset. And that's how people make big changes. The older I get, I'm 44 now, the older I get, the years just go faster, right? They just speed up, they go faster. It's like, oh my gosh, is it already January again? Like it's crazy, but it's just the way life is. And unless you're very intentional about what you want, I want to look back, 5 years from now and say, wow, I really made some big moves there. That was great. And I can look back 5 years and say, wow, I just totally changed my life the last 5 years
Yeah.
because of this mindset stuff. So I know if you're hanging out with Vinney on this show, you're already a mindset person, but maybe this is something you could share this episode with your kids or with friends or something that needs some mindset help.
Please, if you like this episode, all the golden nuggets, please share, like, subscribe to our channel, Vinny and Beau Show. I do Abundance Mindset Show, live show also on Thursday mornings, 9 a.m. So actually 2 doses every week.
Love it.
That's 9 a.m. on Thursday and 9 a.m. on Friday. Then my apartment syndication made easy and my inner circle, all those good things. But thanks again, brother Bronson, how can people reach you? How can they read your book and
Yeah.
give you 5-star reviews?
Thanks, man. Well, it's been a pleasure being here. Appreciate you guys. My book, Fire Yourself, behind me. It's up. It's on Amazon, so you can find it there. I do have a free gift for your audience. We have,
Yes.
people have been talking about inflation, saying it's only 3% or whatever. But we've seen prices, the grocery store at the pump, go up like 50% in the last, 4 years. And so there's a way you can get on the other side of that equation where you can use inflation to your advantage. That's the title of this ebook. It's 40 pages. It's a color book. Love to share it with your audience. And, it basically involves some strategies using real estate, using debt, using precious metals, some things I'm sure you probably haven't heard about. So you can get that for free if you text the word inflation to 33777. So you text the word inflation to 33777. I'm happy to connect with anybody, and appreciate you having me on the show today.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Beau and I are together to really bring the best to get your business to the next level.
Do me a favor, subscribe and share. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to connecting with you in the future.